Kung Fu?
No.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to a quick peek with the Heroes Peak crew. I'm your host, Chris, and with me today to talk about The Paper Tigers on Netflix, we're going to start with our guest. It's Andrew. How you doing, Andrew?
How are you?
Doing pretty good. Good to see you again. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
You still have our highest rated podcast on YouTube. It's still
70,000 views. Let's try that topic tonight.
I wonder who's gonna am I gonna beat my own record? Is that how it's gonna go? Or
I don't know. We'll have to see. If you do, then Mike's gonna duct tape you to a chair, and you're gonna be a host on every.
There you go.
All right. Speaking of, how you doing, Mike?
I'm good. I'm down. Excited for our not usual pod. So.
Oh, so you're never excited for the regular pod. You're excited for the night. Oh, I see how it is. All right. And last, of course, not least, it's James. How you doing, James?
What's going on, Chris? Hey, to quote one of my favorite iconic heroes of all time, dead or alive, Bruce Lee, a wise man can learn from a foolish question, then a fool can learn from a wise answer. This goes out to DC, all of the executives at DC and Warner Brothers. Take heed of that great sage advice from the legendary late great Bruce Lee.
Oh man, yeah, we have to have a different whole pod about the DC universe. We did, and it still didn't get us anywhere. But James, I think you have jinxed DC into making some decent movies recently. So let's hope.
I realized it at first, but you guys know how my jinx works.
That's right. So let's see if that continues to work for the upcoming Flash movie. All right. Let's get down to business here. We're talking about The Paper Tigers. Don't forget the, otherwise IMDb gets lost.
Is it The Paper Tigers? I thought it was just Paper Tigers.
No, it's
The Paper Tigers, yeah.
The Paper Tigers on Netflix. Written and directed by Kuo Bao Tran. I'm sorry, Mr. Tran, if I really screwed that up. Thanks for liking my review on Twitter. Starring Alan Yu, Ron Yuan, Michael Shannon Jenkins, and also guest is Yuji Okumoto, who is also the producer, and you would know him from The Karate Kid Part 2. All right, so let's talk about this wonderful little film popped up on our radar thanks to Mike, and thanks to the Netflix algorithm. And tossed it up to him. So this is a comedy action movie. I forgot to look how long it is, but 3X gung fu prodigy kids grow up and become regular people. And then they find out that their master has been murdered. They do a little soul searching, a little detective work, and they run into his new student, who is a lot more dangerous because he's young and not old like the rest of us. Man, did that age thing really make me feel a lot about this movie.
It's a classic story of Gen X versus Gen Z.
No, man, isn't that guy like a millennial? No.
The younger students were millennials. The three replacement tigers, they were the millennials.
But the villain was, I think he was even younger than that, wasn't he?
No, he was older.
Sure,
he was a little bit.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Young guys all look the same to me.
You know, like he was in his mid-20s. By his body physique, yeah, he was not. Yeah, he was.
Like we know our disciples were Gen X, so.
Yeah, because they were videotaping all their stuff on the VHS. You know. All right, so let me go around the horn here, and everybody just give a basic. How'd you like it? How'd you feel? We're probably going to accidentally drop spoilers. Not that there's a lot of twists and turns in this movie, but that's not what the movie's about. It's definitely a very emotional piece, even though it has a great amount of comedy. So I'm going to start with Mike here. Give me your first reaction to The Paper Tigers.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knocked our shit off.
Very enjoyable movie. Very relatable movie. You know, as you grow up in the
as a gung fu prodigy yourself.
That's right. but I never learned to dim mak either, right? So that was
Okay,
my
no
one
poison,
regret.
no poison fingers for you.
Poison touch, yeah.
And mock.
So yeah, as you know, you grow up in that generation, and you're all excited and looking forward to life, and things don't work out exactly the way you plan, right? Which is basically what happened with our three heroes in this one, right? Things didn't turn out the way they expected. Some of it was their fault, some of it was environment, beyond their control, right? So,
Right.
so definitely very relatable and enjoyable. Some good comedy moments for me. Nice seeing Chosen from Karate Kid in it. The bad guy I thought was decent. Like overall, it was a lot lighter than I thought it was going to be going in. I thought it was going to be darker, like a darker, revenge type movie, but turned out to be just good fun, right?
Oh yeah. All right, Andrew, I'm gonna give you your shot.
Sure. I liked it. I was hoping for more of a twist ending or a twist middle. In my mind when I was watching the movie, I kept thinking to myself, one of the paper tie. I don't know if this is allowed to we're not.
Go for it.
Yeah, we're gonna spoil the hell out of this movie. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like midway through, I was thinking like, this would be really cool if one of the paper tigers had killed the master.
Right.
Like I was like thinking that it was going in that direction, but and then they went back to the more basic kung fu type of movie, which I like. And also, my favorite, like some of my favorite movies are movies about people that have to come out of retirement from something they did a long time ago.
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Sorry.
But also
Last
like
Jedi.
Unforgiven, The Dark Knight Returns. I love
Right,
these stories about old
yeah.
men who have to get back into it, but they're a little rusty. So I like that whole thing. Like these guys try to do the kung fu and they're just out of it. The bad guy was okay, I thought, and but the comedy was really good. Maybe they did a couple too many bits with them not being able to do kung fu, but all in all, I thought it was really good, really touching.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, James, over to you.
Yeah, I think actually Mike and Andrew covered most of what my first reaction thoughts was. Again, I had no idea. This is Mike's recommendation. So when I booted it up, Eric was watching with me. For some reason, I was thinking maybe it's like one of those old school type of Run Shaw kung fu movies in a modern era with a splash of comedy. But as I was watching it, to me, I thought it was actually done much better than those movies, first of all. Second of all, it kind of reminded me of Cobra Kai as well on Netflix now, originally YouTube, but from like a more Asian-centric base of Kung Fu versus karate. So as I was watching it, I did like the fact that they showed you, to Andrew's point about the old guy coming out of retirement, but then they showed you the legacy of Kung Fu that's still in area. I wasn't sure what city we're talking about, San Francisco, wherever they are, but the young clan that's coming, the funeral. Speaking of modernizing, the one Asian kid dropping the N-word and the black dude reacting to me was like, definitely 2021. And I like that a lot. I also like the fact how real it was that these guys are not, they're at least 40, 45, 50 even. So they're going to have hamstring pulls, they're going to have issues. And it was kind of like extended beyond what we thought it should be realistically. But I thought that was very cool. And last thing, as far as the twist that Andrew mentioned, I actually thought the white student from the other sensei class.
Yeah, Matthew Page, I think, is the actor.
Because of how they were setting the table, Chekhov's gun in the beginning about how the student was demoralized and
Right.
So I was thinking he was gonna be in the traditional kung fu. He was gonna be the villain that killed the master, but didn't reveal it until the final moment. But of course, it wasn't. It was another antagonist, and yeah, the ending kind of fell flat for me because I thought there'd be a little more involved about it. But I pretty much really enjoyed this. First reaction, last reaction, very enjoyable, very relatable too.
Right. Yeah, I relate because we videotaped some of our stupidity, and hopefully those have been lost to time. I was not kicking ass at that age, by the way. I definitely was not. But it was an interesting, like the first 10 minutes when you're watching the credits and it's this old VHS stuff, and I'm like, what kind of movie am I watching? It really kind of, you put you on your toes a little bit. Am I watching? Because they were kicking that other guy's butt all over the place constantly. I was like, what kind of movie is this? And then it didn't take very long in like the dad picking up his son at the soccer game to realize where you were. Like I recognized that like immediately. I'm like, oh, okay, so he's that guy. I know where we are. I understand this movie really quickly. So the characters they built, they really locked you in very quickly. You didn't feel like you're like, oh, what are they trying to do with this character? Every character I felt the director did a really good job of landing who they are and what part of this story they're going to take part in. I think they did a really good job that way. Overall, I thought it was really fun. They did really land the leg joke, the guy with the busted leg from falling. They used that quite a bit, but I was glad he got to win a fight. There was at least one fight he won, so I was
He's the
glad
only
to
one
see
that wanted
that.
to play out of the three.
Right. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute. But as for the way the third act comes around, this is more of a straightforward story about the guys and their feelings and the way they're handling life than it is about twist endings and surprises and stuff like that. The closest thing, like James said, to the twist was, yeah, we're kind of gonna lead everybody to believe that it was definitely this other student who did it. But they didn't really, once you found out about it, you knew who the bad guy was. And was he that bad of a guy? Yeah, I guess he was.
I almost thought it was like too obvious. Like once they revealed him, I was like, no, that can't be it. And I was
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it also felt empty. Like you didn't really get his true motivation of why he killed his master.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
It's
there's the meeting in the hall, not the hallway, the alleyway, which
Mhm.
I think could have built that relationship more, but they landed everything on one quote, which is two tigers can't inhabit the same mountain or something to that
Yeah.
effect.
Or can't reach the same peak or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So it really was like that was the entire motivation right there. And
Sounds like a Sith Lord to me.
yeah. All right. So I think we all gave this a pretty decent things. What really stuck out to you? For me, the thing that stuck out the most about this was Ron Yuan. I thought he was wonderful. The guy with the busted leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy I relate to. My knees are like that.
Well, he was my favorite part. I mean, he drove a lot of the storyline.
Yeah.
He's the guy who shows up at the end when he's not supposed to.
He was the glue. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the glue, right?
He was. I think he did a great job. What about you guys? Did any character or story bit really stick out to you guys?
So for me, one thing I didn't really like too much was the main character. I forgot all the names, but the main guy,
Danny,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they kind of made him almost too much of a dick dad in the beginning.
Danny Eight Hands.
Yeah, Danny Eight Hands. He was almost too much of a dick.
Cool name, by the way.
And like I didn't understand the motivation from him going from his training and then being like deadbeat dad almost, you know what I mean? So
They landed that pretty hard, but I think that's a very common character if you're trying to show how far this guy has fallen. I've seen that character quite a bit. The guy who
just started with Wonder Woman 84. Freaking this guy's family was gone. He was barely paying attention to his son, but he turned bad because he's trying to. It's the same trope.
Yeah,
across all these movies now.
Yeah, but they another thing that they showed that so the kid could teach him the honesty lesson, and then that turns him around at the end. So like I said, it was kind of obvious, but I think it was over the top on purpose. But I see what you're saying, Mike. He did feel kind of jerkish at times to his kid and to his ex-wife.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
James, anything stick out to you? Any character, actor?
No, I think everybody played a pretty good role. I did like Ron Huan's, let's just call him the guy with the broken leg, heavier set guy. His character to me kind of stuck out across the cast because I think his role, as I said before, was the glue. So you felt like whatever scene he was in was building the narrative, but also telling you, what's happening with the other characters. The black character, I forgot his name, Jim. To me, he's kind of like the third wheel because we didn't really get to know, other than the one MMA training sequence, we didn't know too much about his story. Other than I think he was supposed to go to Japan, he went to Japan, but I mean that part of the story is kind of weak. The white student, which I thought was a gold mine, and they really could have built, not just make him comedy relief, they really could have put him front and center as a possible twist villain. But they didn't do that. They went with the regular option of having super CrossFit dude, Asian dude as the villain. So I can't say really any character stuck out to me. What I can say as far as things that stuck out to me is the actual martial arts itself. At some point, it becomes almost supernatural where Danny tells you that he could slow time in his maneuvers. and you're like, what is he talking about? And they start showing you snippets of that. And then obviously the final fight, you see it's his full reveal. That to me stuck out because I'm like, is this supposed to be a kung fu comedy, dramedy that's based on real life? Or are we hitting like the old 70s Run Shaw movies where there's some supernatural connections to it too? That was never answered for me.
All right, Andrew, what stuck out to you?
Yeah, so I did study kung fu years ago, and one of the things I liked about this movie a lot was the terminology that they use was like just completely on point. Like the term Beimo is like a challenge match. Dai Si Hing, they kept calling him Dai Si Hing. That's the oldest brother in a kung fu family. So that terminology is really good. And then the character Carter, he stuck out to me because I feel like the writers of this movie studied kung fu, and that guy is a type of person. There's always one person like that in every kung fu studio, and it's like they're super cocky, but they pretend like they're humble and like super respectful, but they really want to like. It's hard to explain, but like I've seen that person in a kung fu studio. And I feel like writers were real kung fu guys. I don't know much about the writers, but I feel like the developers, they hit the nail on the head with that character, like as a caricature of the American who studies kung fu and wants to immerse himself in the culture.
Yes, that's what. Yeah, he was over the top with him.
And over the top with the he's that guy, and I've met that guy in real life. So that's what stuck out to me.
Nice. So this is just a quick peek. So why don't we all give our grades?
Wait, hold on. Before we do that, to Andrew, since Andrew is erudite with martial arts and kung fu.
Okay. Oh, we should talk about the fights themselves.
So one thing that stuck out to me, I've dibbed and dabbed in martial arts when I was younger, was when our favorite guy, well, not favorite, Ron Huan played Hing, the heavier guy. When you talk about kicking and developing power, generating power, he walked into that one
sound
studio. He's like, by the sound, and he's able to listen to hear the power it's coming from. To me, I thought that was very cool. And I don't know, I know the science from it in a general martial arts and boxing sense, but in a movie, I don't know if it played well for people who weren't really into martial arts like that. Did they get that connection?
Right.
What about that, Andrew?
Well, it's like when they say if even in modern day, like when someone's holding a pad and you kick the pad, if it makes a particular type of noise, which is more like a whipping, you could just it, like you can hear someone kicking a pad, and if it's like a kind of like a thud, and if it's like a whip, then it's like an effective kick. So, and there's something to that, definitely.
Yeah, that was cool that they put that in.
Yeah,
your point about the screenwriters knowing martial arts, I picked that up too.
I want to look more into that and see like if they like what their martial arts background is, but they seem to be like spot on with all that stuff.
It's definitely not written by Chris Terrio, who gave us
or by the writers of Snake Eyes.
Yes, Chris, thank you.
Who know nothing about martial arts.
No, obviously not. I would love to get your take on Snake Eyes, Andrew.
Or movies.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're ready, Chris. Sorry.
I'm going to ask, did you guys have a favorite fight? Because I thought they were all pretty solid. Some were more comedic, but even like an individual pair, was there an interesting fight? Like the guy who was doing the flips versus our favorite Ron Yuan, who was all hands because he can't kick, or did you like some of the other stuff? What was your favorite fight in this?
I don't know. For me, it's really the last fight because that was where the one you knew there's all there's stakes involved, whereas the other ones were sparring sessions. By the way, it made me sad where we didn't see Ron's character fight the main villain. We just saw the effects. His body was all. That would have probably been interesting, but beyond that, yeah, that's definitely my favorite fight because the third round of that fight, because that's when you knew, okay, this is going to be very, very all out, and they're going to show the best of their forms. And to me, that was the favorite. That
almost got the best of the best. It was very short lived because he was running away half the time.
I like the fight with the young guys in the pool. That whole Bamo thing session had me cracking up.
It was funny.
Yeah. Other than that, I think I enjoyed pretty much all the other fights in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Andrew?
Yeah, I would go with the last one too. I liked the second round where like he just started running out the clock. Like he just started running around, using the clock to his advantage. That was fun. I usually don't like the last fights of martial arts movies. Like the boss is usually the least interesting fight to me in a martial arts movie.
Raid 2?
I hadn't actually seen that movie yet, so I'll check back in with you on that one.
We'll talk offline.
All right, but in this one, I thought that was like such a good fight because they went in like a unique direction, and I like that he had, they, like I said, he was running around, he was getting beat up a lot, and then all of a sudden he sees what he sees. So
yeah, I thought it was cool the setup of that of, okay, you attack, I have to defend, then we get the next round, I attack, you have to defend, then it's all out after that. I thought that was a really interesting setup for a fight. But I think I did like the one against the white student guy. I thought that was hysterical.
Ooh, I forgot about that one.
He fought
all three, right?
Yeah, he fought all three, and he let the one guy grab the nugget, the pole arm. I forget what the name of it is. And he let him use that, and he took it away, and he's like smacking him. I love a good comedy, action comedy bit fight. Big Jackie Chan fan for that reason. He's so good at that. And they did a really good job. A nice thing about this movie is they let the fights play. And we've been complaining all year about all of these great setup, great martial artists in movies, but these directors aren't letting their fights play out. And it's really hurting what we're watching, and we're not having as much fun.
Makes no sense because usually it's American Hollywood producers that recruit these East Asian martial artists for their notoriety in the sport, but they don't use them to that same role. They just cast them and then like put them in Fast and Furious, and the guy's just a regular henchman.
Well, and like even with like a Snake Eyes, I hate to go back to it, but like the reason you do that is because you get a fight between an actress or an actor who's not really a martial artist, and you want to show them as an expert. And so you use those quick cuts and those weird angles and those fast camera movements to pretend that they're doing the thing. But when you have people who actually have the ability, it's a better viewing experience when you let them do their thing. And that's why I like, sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, that fight. That's a fight where they let the camera roll. Yeah, right there. And I forgot the name of the movie. You probably know.
Way of the Dragon.
Yeah, and
Way of the Dragon, depending.
And that's a scene where they just roll the camera and they let Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee fight. There's barely any editing in that. There's not a lot of like camera movements. It's in the Coliseum, right?
Yeah.
That's and like you said, now they cut everything up. They don't play out the fights, but this was very old school in that way. I think I agree.
Yeah, even if the fights weren't exceptionally long, even if there was a good amount of comedy involved in most of the fights, they did let the actors do their thing, and it's a much better experience, and I love it. All right, we're gonna throw our grades out. Gonna go in reverse order. Andrew, what was your grade for The Paper Tigers?
I am going to give it a B+. and it loses points a little bit for me because it's like once we found out who the villain was, they kind of just started just looking to end the movie. Other than that, the action was great. Acting was great. Chemistry between the actors was good. So I give it a B+.
All right, James. You're great.
Actually, going to agree with Andrew. I'm going to give it a B+. Somewhat similar reasons. I think the third act, there's a lot of potential. It could have really made it a super epic movie. Fell flat with not giving you the twist of the villain once it was revealed. I think some of the exposition in the middle also kind of dragged down. The whole family story about the wife and picking up the son and this, that, and the third, to me was like, it felt almost like I was watching a Lifetime movie for a second, as opposed to a pretty good martial arts movie. So I couldn't give it an A-, which was, when I came out of the movie right after it ended, I was thinking, oh, this is an A-, type of movie. But then the more I got to go back and prep for this podcast, I looked at it, the pluses and minuses, and I had to, drop the grade a little bit to a B+.
Yep, I get it. All right, Mike.
Yep. So for me, it's same grade, actually, B+. My only qualms with the film was the actual script writing wasn't the greatest either. Like you could tell that the people working on this movie, writing this film, they really knew their stuff when it came to the fighting, but seemed like the everyday dialogue, like the stuff I was talking about with the dad in the beginning, like some of it was kind of cheesy, right? And like
a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, exactly. So a little amateurish on that front, but overall B+, good movie.
Yeah, dialogue is hard. As we've seen in all the movies we watch, dialogue is hard. And I'm gonna give us a 4 for 4 with a B+ because
what? Never
seriously,
before.
Seriously, and it's not that it's not. There's so many great things about this movie. I definitely wouldn't even think of going lower than a B+, just because it's so good all around. But you're right that the villain and the motivations all get a little flat and a little spread out, and like we could have done some more there, some more interesting stuff. But other than that, it was a great movie. Definite, highly recommended to watch. And that's it. That's all I have to say. You guys have any last thoughts?
I wanted to say one thing.
Go for it.
I saw a video before this. I was reading up a little bit on this movie. The director Tran, his last name Tran,
he
was offered a lot of money by a major studio that they're not naming to do this film, and their one stipulation was that one of the paper tigers had to be an American, a white American. And Tran turned it down, and it became
rightfully so.
So I don't know this director. This is his directorial debut, but big shout out to him for that. That's a lot of film integrity there. So just wanted to make mention of that.
And I wonder, I doubt there was a change of because he wrote this too, but it definitely feels like he pushed on that the white guy quite a bit for the. maybe he's like, I'm gonna add a few more jokes on this.
Did we mention the fact that Yuji Okamoto, chosen from the Karate Kid 2 series, was the producer of this movie?
Yeah, I said that at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, just making sure. Shout out to him as well.
That was funny. You guys I didn't even see it because he was the waiter at the end.
Oh, I saw it.
Oh, yeah. They even made a Karate Kid joke, right?
Yeah, they did.
Some kind of Karate Kid.
I was watching it, and you guys made a joke on the chat, and I look up, and he's like there, and I'm like, oh. It was great. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, shout out to him.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for this quick peek. We will try to get more of these out. This is fun, and we got to talk about a good movie. I love talking about good movies.
Yeah, let us know if you've seen the movie. Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And,
or if you've seen a similar movie, sorry, Mike, if you've seen a similar movie that we haven't talked about, because this was a great find by Mike only because of Netflix algorithm. If anyone's watched something similar to this, we want to recommend for us to watch and do a quick peek, we'll do that as well.
Yeah, let us know.
All right, thanks everybody. Have a good night.